You'll be glad to know this is the last piece. This is the last bit of video you're going to watch on hanging wood chip. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to hang wood chip to the internal. If you look at this corner, how we've done it, we've plumbed a piece on this wall, we've applied that one, we've then centralised the chimney breast, wrapped around the external, but we've got two little pieces here left. That's fine when you're hanging a plain paper. So wood chip, I can just put a piece in there and a piece in there. If it was a pattern paper, you won't want to lose your pattern in this corner. So you would start in the middle of the chimney breast, would work round, but that's for another day. Okay, I'm just hanging plain papers at the moment. Because I've got these two strips, I'm going to cut these two strips on the board. I'm not going to bring a whole piece of paper up here and try and cut these two strips. I'll show you how to do that now. So first thing you need to do, measure the width. Now I've got 85. Because corners are sometimes out, I need to find what it is in the centre. Oh, 85. Perfect. Bottom, 85. Absolutely bang on there. 85 millimetres. While we're at the bottom, let's try this one. So we've got, let's have a look. So we've got 55 there. Okay. Next bit, 55. Gary needs to give me some space to move. The top here, oh, we've got 60. That shows us that this wall is out, and I think it was because we cut a little bit off there. So this one has to be 60, and then we'll have to trim it at the bottom. So that's 60 mil. So I only need to have a piece 60 mil wide. So this is my piece that I've pasted. I've got my 2/3 and 1/3 fold. Because I want to hang to that edge, I need to cut the piece that I need off this edge. If you imagine, if you went up there like that and hung it, you'd need the machine edge there. Never try and hang an edge that you've cut against a factory machine edge, because it won't match up. So this is going to blow your mind, this bit. Okay. So we said just double check. We said 60. Right. First thing I'd say with this is just get used to running your hand up and down the board like that. Okay. Once you've done that, you're halfway there. So what I'm going to do now, got my 60 there. Put a bit of mark on your ruler if you want, if you think it'll help. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pencil here. And the key is to let the pencil draw a straight line at the end of the ruler while you're taking the ruler up the board. Your paper must be right on the end of your board like that. Yeah, see that? If it's not all the way down, you're not going to get that 60 mil width all the way down. It will help when you do this in practice, and revisit this as much as you want. So what I always say is, don't look at the pencil. Put the pencil against the ruler like that. Now I know, without even looking at this pencil, you look at this, Gary, right? I'm not going to look at that pencil, not me looking away. I can draw a straight line. Pencils work all the time. I don't need to check that the pencil's working. I just need to keep my eye on this bit. So I'm going to take my ruler up there. So pencil on there. I'm only going to look at this bit. I'm never going to look at the pencil because I know the pencil will work. You see that this mark here is running along the edge of the table. Just jump over that bit so we don't get pasty. I'm keeping a mark on the edge of the table. If your paper needs straightening, straighten your paper. All the way down like that. I ain't looked at my pencil yet because I know that pencils work. Okay. Make sure you move your paste bucket so you won't trip over it like me. Right, that's the easiest way for you to cut a section at 60 mil. So, next thing, let's cut it. So I'm going to cut just this side of the pencil mark. This, because I know that pencil mark goes right into the corner. And I'd rather be a millimetre over than a millimetre short. When you've hung this wood chip, you will really enjoy hanging a finished paper with no wood in it, because it's much easier. So that's my piece now. Okay, this is the edge I've cut, and that's another reason for leaving a tiny bit of pencil lead on, and that is my factory machine edge. So my factory machine edge is the one that needs to butt up to the factory machine edge on this bit. So just imagine this is just a big piece of paper, so you handle it exactly the same. Let the back come down. Have your 50mm wastage, and let's find it. There we go. And that just fits in there perfectly. Now it's going over a little bit at the bottom around the edge, because if you remember, I started off and it was only 55, so obviously because the corner's out a little bit, it's perfect at the top, but I've got a little bit of trimming at the bottom. So just as we do on an edge, we'll just take that piece off. We won't leave it round in this instance because it's wood chip. Most other papers you can leave them round. Even finished papers you need to leave them round just a slight bit. But with wood chip, they don't like sticking on top of themselves. And because they're going to be painted, that internal edge is generally flooded with paint, and you don't notice that it's not wrapped right internal round the corner. You don't see the wall behind because you're painting it. But they always look better on any other paper when you go around. The internal, a few mil. Oh, that was a chunky bit. And that. Remember, always keep your pieces. I want to see this, guys. I want to see that you're keeping all your pieces together. Okay, that's part of your assessment. Do that bit now. And go back. Make sure your joint is butted up as much as you can. I say you'll never get a good joint in wood chip because there's always a bit of wood on the corner that's going to, obviously they don't match, so you're never going to get a perfect joint in wood chip. But as I was saying, they're always painted and the paint floods the joints. So the next piece I'm going to do is going to be exactly the same, where it's going to be on that wall. So, because obviously I've done, it's only a small piece, I'm going to wipe it all. I'm not going to think I'll just wipe top and bottom, I'll wipe it all. It's wipeable, you don't scrub it, or else you'll end up with bits of wood all over. Like that. So the next bit, I measured at, let's double check, 85. Thank you, Gary. 85. But I can't go off that edge because that's now cut. You can see it's cut by me. It's not a straight edge. I need to go off the opposite edge. So do this just the same on the other side of the board. So we're going 85 this time. Don't worry about doing this on these rulers. This isn't as easy to do on a tape measure because of the fact it sticks up. So if you prefer to use a tape measure for measuring, that's absolutely great. But you'd find it easier to use a box ruler for this method. I must have been concentrating there, I shut up for once. Then cut the on side of the line. Now this one was absolutely spot on from top to bottom, this one, so should just slot in nicely. What I'm looking at when you're doing this assessment, obviously I'll be looking at your measurements, checking, you always measure twice, cut once. Then I'll be looking at your cutting around your socket, in your corners, and obviously top and bottom. So quite a few things. So make sure you've got it right way up when you go to the board. Obviously the bit with the pencil line needs to go to the corner, but this is my machine edge, which is made in the factory, and that needs to match up to the one that's already on the chimney breast. Again, remember about your wastage, just at the top, and that just slots in there perfectly because it's right the right size. Oh, actually I might have left a bit too much on, or it's expanded again while I've been cutting it, so I will actually trim some off, but that don't matter. While I'm up here, just pencil it. So by the time you've come to this bottom piece, you'll have finished your wood chipping. So you're going to line the walls. That's all the walls in the cubicle. Actually, it's perfect in there. Bit. You're going to line all your walls. You're going to hang wood chip to the back walls. Then we're going to take it off and we're going to hang a finished paper after you've relined. Usually we'd have time to do the full cubicle. And it's not like you're missing out by not doing a full cubicle, because in level 1 you don't necessarily have to go around the windows, but because we generally have time, we do go around the windows. We also go around the front of the cubicle, but it's okay because we can do that next year for those of you that are coming back onto level 2. So don't think you're missing out, because you're not missing anything that's not in the criteria for level 1. Because when it comes to level 2, the unit is called hanging wallpaper to complex areas. Whereas in level 1, it's just hanging paper to internal, external corners and around sockets. Oops, so but just obviously, usually in level 1 we have a little bit more time and we do a bit extra. So when I'm happy that you can cut well, measure well, do the butt joints, hang around corners, cut to skirtings and curve-ins and round sockets, when I'm happy that you're competent in doing that, that's when I'll sign you off. And obviously part of your assessment is to keep the area clean, to keep all your tools and equipment clean. Just need a little bit more of that, I think. Tidy, keep the area tidy as you work. That's really important. It's a health and safety matter. So if you want a building site, you wouldn't be making a mess because you'd probably be thrown off site. So I'm just going to wet that bit as well, like the cut of them. If you see now, that's it finished. That is your assessment for hanging wood chip. Plumb your first length, hang your second length, third length is centralised, fourth length goes around the external of your chimney breast, and then I cut a fifth length just to use the two edges. Okay, so that'll all be going on to YouTube. So that's it done.